Okay, we are live. All right, can we get Nat? I'm about to.
I turned it off. Okay, I turned off Despacito
Okay, can we get a link to post into the
into the.
messed up one? You can put the link in the StreamYard, the YouTube link. That is.
So this is a brand new link, so I can close this old window that we have, the anti-blackness in the K-pop community, or
Yes.
okay.
When Nat closes it, watch it go down to 4. Ooh, Nat was one of the 5 viewers.
Well, we were super last minute anyways, so can't
Okay,
really.
so do we have a
So
new link then?
Yeah, hold on.
All right.
y'all have me turning off Despacito for this.
I can't believe there's only 4 people. Well, it's better than the last week. The last one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
considering
and we
how many
were
people usually.
We didn't promote this at all. We were just like,
no.
we gonna talk about something tonight.
Yeah, and I was like at 8:22. We're gonna talk about stuff in 8 minutes, guys. So
Okay, you know what? I thought you were posting stuff earlier today. So
I
when
was
you
not.
when you were like, what? I was like, man, we are a lost cause, guys. What? Hey, the link popped up on my screen.
Yeah, sorry. That was my error.
Guys, why does it taste like cilantro? But like, it smells like cilantro, and I can taste it as well. Is that weird?
Yeah,
Maybe I
Okay,
just
the
really
link's
want this.
in the chat.
Oh,
I got it.
thank you. Okay, post that on Twitter.
I'm doing it right now. Yeah. Okay, and we are live. Okay.
I have a
Let's.
question for you, Nat.
Hi.
Were you listening to the Despacito Justin Bieber version or the original flavor?
So, because I'm on YouTube, I was listening to the original one, but I actually do prefer the Justin Bieber version.
Ah.
I'm just waiting on the concurrent viewers to go down to 0, but there's actually 4 people. Like it keeps going from 3 to 4. So I'm like,
Why
make sure
did
we're
you?
all
And you put
out of
the
it.
link in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not actually
I'm
in
no,
the
I'm close.
broadcast. Okay,
Okay,
and
I'm
then
close.
Ash, you're not in that broadcast either.
No.
Okay, so
Mm-mm.
that's like actual people who think we're there.
Yeah, no, I put it on Twitter. So
Okay, let me. How about this? I'll update the
Yeah, give them the YouTube link.
stream link.
Yeah.
I'll put it all over the stream. I'll put it all over the stream. Oh, I can hear myself talking. Who has it up in the background?
oh, I do. I'm gonna mute it.
Oh, I can hear myself talking. Who has it up in the background? Okay, let's see.
Ooh.
It only says one person is
Oh,
watching.
that's me. It's fine. What did I do? I pressed something by accident. We can give everybody like 5 minutes to get here then.
Oh, we have 3 people.
Really?
Yay. Well,
Make sure
yeah.
one of them is not me, because there's 6 people still in this old one.
No, somebody, Liz Cook from Twitter is on. See?
She is, or he,
Yeah,
or that person. Sorry, I don't
that
know.
person. Yes,
Should
I don't
not
know either.
assume.
Yeah, that's true. They are here.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Lovely to have you here. We're just waiting. We're just waiting a little bit to get officially started.
Yeah, sorry about the wait, guys. We had some technical difficulties, and everything looks like it's ready. So we're gonna take a couple minutes just before we start. Is there anything you want us to talk about? You can put it in the comment section, and we will bring it up. We do have some topics decided already, but we are open for whatever you guys want us to talk about. While we're waiting, listen to the cool tunes of Despacito, the song of every summer. And yeah, let's. Hey, Cheryl's here. Hey.
Hi.
Oh, and see, Liz corrected us. She, her.
Well, also, we released a new episode today, so don't forget. They can't. You know what? I just thought about. They can't
What?
tell who we are because um, I have a Black Lives Matter, and I also don't have my name. It's an emoji, and Nat has does not have her name. She has married to Yami, whoever that is.
He's a character on
Um,
Black Clover, my new favorite show.
uh, okay. And you know what? The thing is, we can't even change our names
No,
without getting kicked out of the StreamYard. So,
I actually did not know we would be here too, or else I would have kept my old name, which is the same as my personal Twitter handle name, which is Mrs. Ackerman, which would match my icon as well. So, yeah, lost opportunity. I didn't realize that it would show up here either.
sure. If anybody wants
Thanks
to,
for the
actually,
sarcasm.
you know what we can do? I'm not being sarcastic. I really wasn't. I just had a thought. I had a thought that you know how I was telling you guys how the LA Police Commission did that little live forum. Maybe if anybody wants to hop on the stream and like talk with us, let us know and we'll give you a stream link.
Okay, is that gonna mess things up?
Can we even do that?
Can we do that? We're not computer wizards.
I don't know. We can't do that.
Yeah, I don't. At least not with this thing. I don't know if we can.
Ooh, we're all about to get kicked out.
Why?
I don't know. If you put a link up for somebody, they're gonna pop in, and we're all gonna get kicked out and have to start it again. That's how I feel.
Well,
but
nobody can kick us out, though.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm still waiting for. Are we ready to start?
Yeah, I will turn off Despacito and we can start.
Did you post on Twitter already?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I can do a reminder. Like I did it like a couple minutes ago.
Okay. I mean, people check for us on Instagram, but like at the same time, I don't feel like posting anything on Instagram.
Yeah, and we were like super last minute. We apologize for the last minute nature of this. We normally do record, but then we're just like, that is going to be so time. So it'll take a lot of time for it to like the video to actually go up or the podcast to go up. So we wanted to get sort of tackle things as they happen in the moment.
Yeah.
So this is just better for us this time.
Okay. I am thinking of deleting the other broadcasts.
Yes.
Because even though people are still there, they should come here. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and you already put the link there too, right?
Yeah, I put it there like 5 times in the past like 15 minutes. So,
okay.
I will delete it. I don't know. Okay, there we go. All right. So, welcome to Not Your Average Netizens, Anti-Blackness in the K-pop community. Guys, let us know if our audio sounds really even more bad than
normal.
We're trying. Look, it's hot. It's we're quarantined. Yeah. And you know, we're just living life out here. But yes, welcome to our Anti-Blackness in the K-pop community talk. This was kind of inspired in part by our previous episode that we just released today that we recorded last Friday. So much has happened between last Friday and now that, you know, we, like Nat was saying, we just kind of felt the need to get together and like, you know, tackle things as they come. And these things have come. So we don't really have that much of a tight agenda today. We do have some topics we want to discuss. And we're just, you know, going to just kind of get in things. I can't talk today. We're just going to kind of do things kind of like a stream of consciousness like the last episode was, and just see where it goes and loosely kind of follow a list of topics that we have. So, yeah.
All right. So, how is everybody doing?
I'm okay. It's hot. It is hot.
It's not as hot here, thankfully, but I do have my fan on because it's still pretty humid in here.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody taking care of themselves?
Yes. I actually just rediscovered some music that I used to listen to back in 2014. I know that's really specific, but I just remember that part of my life. So yeah, I've just been listening to some of those old tunes and looking at the internet. I guess that's what the kids do these days.
Yeah.
Look, they look at the internet. Um,
Do you guys feel like you want to sort of disconnect from the internet, but you can't at the same time because you never
Oh,
know what's going to happen next?
oh, I know I can't. I'm always, well, I'm not always on, but like for me, like I've been listening to the news and things like that, and it hasn't really, like, I feel like it's not bothering me, but I feel like subconsciously I probably should like take a step back. And then like in the midst of all that, I'm planning on going to a Black Lives Rally protest tomorrow, so
oh,
Oh, be
yeah.
safe. Be very
Yeah,
safe.
it'll probably be small, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
okay.
don't know. I kind of feel the same too. Like for me, I have like internet time set for between like 9 and 6. And then usually after that, I try to like log out and like not be online or just not be on my main Twitter accounts, you know, for like this and Soju Chronicles and my personal. And I just go on Tumblr and I just like look at pretty things, you know, like I just sort of like during 9 to 6, I'm like on and I'm tweeting and I'm socializing and I'm like figuring out what's going on in the world and like what is the new thing that you have to sort of be attent towards or like focus on or signal boost or donate to. And it's like all of that. And then like 6 o'clock comes and I'm just like log out, log out, log out. It was like, but by then I'm so tired that I just want to sleep. Like honestly, I just want to like sleep for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of like how things are going. I'm feeling like in order to find a healthier balance and a healthier way to deal with this is to sort of like I picked 9 to 6 because I work 9 to 5 and like I usually like or 9 to 5:30 or whatever. So like that's usually like why it makes sense for me to be online because I'm already on my computer, you know, doing work. So I need some distractions from work.
Okay.
But yeah, but I'm kind of like maybe I need to be on social media a lot less than that and maybe like start scheduling things and like just like not need to know exactly what's going on at every single second of the day. It's not like I'm leaving my house anyways. So it's not like I'm going to be outside like and I need to know exactly what's going on in Toronto.
Nah.
Though I, though they just passed a law in Ontario saying that being drunk is like now an excuse, is a valid excuse for like rape or something like that. So I have to check that out because that just doesn't make sense.
Well,
to
then
me.
you know they just passed something in New York. What did they do? They got rid of habeas corpus, which is basically like your right to
Protest?
fight against being detained. Like it's anyway. I'm gonna let somebody else explain it because I actually wanted to go ahead and get into kind of the meat and potatoes
Sure.
of the topics. I mean, like we don't really have topics like that, but we got some loose things that we want to discuss and just kind of we want to have a discussion about anti-blackness in the K-pop community because it is out of control. And I think, but before we do that, I kind of want to start with this whole controversy that's going on with Yoongi from BTS once again. um, it's like I think at this point he's allergic to winning. He just likes losing. So, but to be fair, as people have said, we don't have the concrete proof on this, and it seems like it's being disputed, but it's being reported that in the very same song that Yoongi sampled the Jim Jones, the famous Jim Jones speech, he also allegedly sampled a Vietnamese dictator who is responsible for the murder of thousands of Vietnamese people. I don't. I haven't seen. I know Nat was saying earlier that she wasn't able to corroborate that, or we don't have the actual hardcore facts. All we have right now is a statement from Big Hit saying that that's not true, and he never sampled such a person. I don't know if it's true or not. I wouldn't put anything past him. I mean, he sampled Jim Jones, so I wouldn't put anything past him. But to that end, I found something really interesting. Um, and I was, trying to understand, like, obviously people are going to be upset about something like that type of accusation. But there is this extra layer to it that I didn't know was there before, and that is the layer of South Korea's role in the Vietnam War, and how South Korean men, South Korean soldiers, and they were while they were sort of warring in conjunction with the United States, they committed some pretty horrible atrocities in Vietnam. Obviously, at war, there's always horrible atrocities, but I think what makes this one especially heinous and stand out in the eyes of many Vietnamese people, from what I've heard, is that a lot of the things that were going on, the killings of innocent people, and the rape of Vietnamese women. I know it's kind of too late for a trigger warning, but trigger warning. Um, a lot of these things that were going on have been routinely denied by South Korean government for many, many years. And I just thought that just kind of blew my mind, because I feel like a lot of South Korean people and the South Korean government sort of projects this image of South Korea as, a nation with no stains, right, on its history, a nation that is above other nations, and this also ties into, I don't know if you guys saw. Do you guys know who Lil Duval is?
Unfortunately,
I mean, it's a very unfortunate, but I don't know. Comment if you, or hidden comment in the chat if you know who Lil Duval is. But if you don't, in case you don't, he is a comedian allegedly, and he posted something on Instagram that was like, "Asians, do you all have?" I forgot the exact wording of it, but it was like, actually, you know what? Let me pull it up. It's not that hard to pull it up. Let me go to it. Bear with me, guys. This is completely live. So this is what we would usually do. He put, do Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Filipinos, etc. see each other as equal? He posted this on June 4th, which was yesterday. And I thought that, obviously I don't have any thoughts about Lil Duval, because I think he is a hot mess. But I thought that the question was interesting, because I feel like we all kind of know the answer. People in the K-pop community, we see firsthand how Chinese idols are treated, how Thai idols are treated, any idol that's darker than paper, really. But, especially those that come from Southeast Asian countries. And, knowing what I know and doing the research that I've done on the interactions between these other countries in South Korea, it's just really interesting. The level of xenophobia and the level of racism that's prevalent in South Korea that kind of gets brushed under the rug, that nobody talks about. And it's not only perpetuated against people who are not Asian, it's also perpetuated against Asians who are seen as less than. And there's this overwhelming sort of view that there are your quote unquote fancy Asians and your quote unquote jungle Asians. And the fancy Asians would be, it's really like the lighter you are, the lighter your ethnicity of Asian is, the more you fit into the fancy Asian category, quote unquote, and the more developed, quote unquote, once again, that your country is, you fit into that fancy Asian category. And you see, Korean, Japanese kind of want to put themselves in that category. And then, everybody else, Vietnamese, Thai, Cambodian, they're all quote unquote jungle Asians. And it's really interesting to see, because once again, like I was saying earlier, there is this, I feel like, portrayal, this image that South Korean government and South Korean people really like to project, as if South Korea is just this wonderful place that is like a utopia, that is so peaceful and has never done anything wrong, and in fact has only been victimized. And I will never try to take away the victimization of South Korean people by Japanese people, or not Japanese people, but I should say the Japanese government. I will not take that away. That is a part of their history. I think that would be wrong to do. I just want to shed light on the fact that, so many K-pop fans buy into this idea that Korea is this utopia, and it's not. South Korea is not this amazing place that is just so much better than every other Asian country. What do you guys think about that, Ash and that? Like, what do you guys think? Obviously, we've talked about it in our podcast before that there are Korea boos in the K-pop fandom who will try to lift up that idea, but knowing that South Korea has been involved in many atrocities, and in one of these prominent cases did not even apologize or even acknowledge that they did it. It's kind of like when people wanted to deny the Holocaust happened, and people and how Japan never apologized for what they did to South Korea. So, what do you guys think about that?
It's ironic considering the whole thing with the comfort women and Japan's, resistance toward, giving anything as much as an apology for that, that we have the whole issue with Vietnam. You would think, considering that they've been through a lot of the same thing, that they would at least confront it and come forward and say, this is something that we've done. We're not proud of it, and we apologize. Um, but I'm not surprised that people are tricked by the K-pop machine. I mean, tons of people go to Korea to teach, to um, to look for a Korean boyfriend, to be a part of that, because they look at what they see on MVs and variety shows, and they think that if they go, that they'll get a little piece of that, and that there is this part of society that reflects that, when that's not really the truth. That's not how things are.
Yeah, for sure. Nat, what are your thoughts?
Well, I have to agree with what's being said in the comments as well too. There's like a lot of history to unpack, because history, I mean, it's just so loaded, and what we learn is just usually the surface of that information and never really goes as deep as it needs to be. And so it's kind of interesting that we're seeing a lot of these discussions, not just from a Western perspective, but as people in the West who consume a lot of media and entertainment and, fashion and things like that from the East, and how the East has been sort of like in Korea, especially with K-pop, how it's exploded in the last couple of years to be such a global presence. Why we're now seeing how many flaws I think there are in what we thought was a successful sort of transition or next step. And also we're starting to see the cracks with the lack of support from, you know, some of the fans in the fandoms towards Black people. The Korean way of doing things where everything is perfect, everything is nice and bright and white, and it's spectacular. And a lot of people buy into that. They buy into the perfection. They buy into the idea, like you just go to Korea and you find a chaebol and you marry oppa, and you're living the perfect life. They think that you're gonna meet, Gongyu or something, like, you're gonna meet these great looking perfect men, and it's just going to be like this fantasy and this fairy tale, and it leads to a lot of fetishization of Korean people and Korean men especially, and also obviously with anime and things like that in Japan, and like a lot of China starting to really open up and do a lot more drama wise and music wise. So you're starting to see it sort of all over the place and throughout Asia, and it sort of just highlights the issues within and the issues without, like, the micro and the macro level. So, the question of, do Asians see themselves as equal? I mean, obviously they're not going to. It's like asking a question like, do African nations think that they're equals? They're all Black. Do they think they're all equals? Do European nations think they're all equals? No. I mean, we, even in North America, there are 3 countries. Well, technically Caribbean is part of, but on the mainland North America, there are 3 countries: Mexico, Canada and the United States.
I was like, girl, did you really sit here and forget?
No. Sorry, there was a pause, and I thought like I got disconnected or something like that. It got real quiet. Sorry.
Ash muted.
Like it got real quiet, and I got real worried. Okay, but yeah, so it's just like I feel like that can't even be something that you would surmise and actually feel like the answer is going to be yes, because you know the answer is going to be no. You know, just being a K-pop fan and seeing people being like, "Oh, Sooyoung from Girls' Generation looks Southeast Asian." Like, what? That's an insult? I'm confused. Like, you know, like there's all these different.
Or I remember, I think. Help me out if you guys know, all the viewers, Liz, I don't know who's all still here, but if you guys know, help me out with this. But Namjoon, I believe, for BTS said that one of the members is like a Maori chief, and like what exactly is that supposed to mean? Like, and I'm just like looking at things like that, and it makes me super uncomfortable because I'm just like, it's so strange. There's a reason why I wanted to talk about this specifically, and why I brought up all of these things in relation to Vietnam, and why I brought up the Lil Duval comment, because it all kind of ties into some things we're going to get into a little later in the topics. But, you know, I thought it was we need to, not we as in, you know, the people who are listening to us, because I don't believe you guys do this, or me, Nat, Jay, Ash. I don't think we really do this, but I think people need to stop, including South Koreans, need to stop like looking at Korea like a utopia. Every country has its faults. Every single country. I can't think of one country that who has had a perfect track record in history. It's just not possible. It's not likely, unless it's like a really new country, right? It's just not likely. So.
And even then, if it's a brand new country, the people came from somewhere. So
yeah, like, you know, it's not like South Sudan was created just because, you know, there was a reason behind it, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's an intriguing talking point, and it's a good little segue into something that has been on my mind quite a bit. So I don't know if you guys, anybody who's viewing this right now in the chat, let us know if you ever find yourself going into Korean forums and seeing what's going on in Korean news or any world news, really. I like to keep up with what's going on in the world. And also, you know, I have a K-pop podcast, so it makes sense that I would look at what's going on in South Korea. And I have Korean friends, of course. And going in there is very toxic. You will go in there and I don't know, girl, you're gonna age like 15 years. Your nails are gonna turn yellow, your eyeballs is gonna shrivel up. It's not fun. In reading,
actually, sorry. No, I was just gonna add just like a little anecdote. It's like when Ash sent that link to the Lipstick Alley post after the Lisa scandal with the choreography. And I don't know if you looked at the link, but I looked at the link and I was only there for maybe 20 minutes, and I was so traumatized by like all of like the very overt and like microaggressive racism by Lisa fans in that area and that space. It was crazy. Yeah.
We don't support that over here, so you know how it is over here. Like, I don't do that. What Lisa fans did is trash, and you don't want to get into what BTS fans did, like over this Jim Jones. Okay, you know what? I'm going to digress, as I always do. I'm very much known for digressing, so we're gonna digress. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about I don't want to get too into it and name names, but I do want to talk about the coincidental posting of Black Lives Matter by ATEEZ, BTS, and Monsta X. Sis is not cute. We saw straight through it. It was very obvious to me when I saw that BTS posted. I was like, okay, well, at this point, it'll kind of look, first and foremost, I don't believe the post. Secondly, I don't feel anything about the post. It didn't make me feel uplifted or feel better. I mean, I guess it's good that they're sending out the bat signal to all of their 14 million followers, but at the same time, like, it really did nothing for me. I felt like it was the bare minimum. Granted, it wasn't as bare of a minimum as like Yu-Gi-Oh from GOT7 and JB from GOT7, but it was like super bare minimum, and it was late. And it made me feel like, because I don't know if you guys know, but BTS is supposed to be doing that graduation ceremony thing tomorrow, with like, you know, Beyonce and like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and like all these people who kind of have already spoken out about what's going on in America. And I'm not saying that BTS has to. I honestly, I'm one of those people to where it's good if celebrities speak up, but I'm not depending on that. Like, I don't, because I don't really think a lot of it is sincere. But anyway, so I really feel like they did it because they had an ulterior motive. And if you also look at the timing of things, there's also this like huge push to make it seem like K-pop fandom is like changing the world. It's make it like so. And one thing that irritates me is like, okay, I don't know how you guys feel about this. And Ash, Nat, feel free to chime in anytime. Anybody who wants to chime in, feel free to just, you know, chime in. But when the K-pop stands were like trying to divert attention away from some of these hashtags like the White Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, they were spamming fan cams. And, you know, I get that it's, you know, doing it for a good cause, but I think it was kind of disingenuous because number one, K-pop stands are always going to spam fan cams. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's not above and beyond for them. It was just an opportunity for them to promote their faves. And number two, even if it wasn't, you also have the fact that it wasn't really helpful to the movement. It wasn't helpful to the cause. In fact, when I get why they did it to the police departments who were looking for, you know, trying to find quote unquote rioters. But if you look like on Twitter, it didn't make a lot of sense. Why are you spamming fan cams in this hashtag when all that does is boost the hashtag more? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, the more fan cams you put in there, the higher the hashtag is going to trend. So it's not like with those, you know, agencies who have released those apps, because the thing is those apps, you're doing that so the apps can crash and the apps can be flooded with things, make it harder to find the things that the police departments want to find, versus spamming the hashtag didn't really do anything. And not only that, but then you also have the fact that like it just wasn't helping. You could have actually been using your powers for good. You could have been, you know, posting all the links to donate. You could have been posting facts and information for protesters to stay safe. You could have been posting facts and information about some of these atrocities to bring more awareness to them. But instead, you were posting your fave fan cams. It just wasn't a good look. It wasn't cute to me. And I get why some people celebrated it, because when they did it the first time with the police department app, it made a lot of sense. But when they started doing it with everything, it just felt like this is just an opportunity for you to promote your fave, who is stiff, by the way.
Yeah. I definitely get it. And I totally agree. I thought it was actually like, when I first saw the news, I thought it was funny, just to be honest. And like, but I didn't really think too much about it because like my focus really at the like right now is the say her name aspect of it and putting up a lot of links for donations and things like that. So that was kind of more my focus, like on a personal level. And then like in terms of the K-pop community, was more like boosting the voices of Black people in the community who, you know, have felt disenfranchised in a lot of ways and just like quieted and like treated like shit. Like there were so many people who were like, I've been, you know, a fan of this group for so long. They never thought I would never be a fan. And now I have to like not be a fan anymore because this fandom is just so toxic and they hate me. And it's really hard to see, like, even for groups like, I mean, obviously like there are groups that I don't like and normally we joke about that kind of stuff, but it is actually really sad. Like that you love something for so long and you realize that you just don't fit into that space. Like there's no room for you because there are fans and then there's just you on the outskirts and you're never celebrated. And then if something happens that is offensive to you and that's justifiably offensive to you, like the Jim Jones sample, it's sort of, it's heartbreaking, you know, like you love this group, you think you're a part of this community and you're not, you know. And I think that's a lesson that especially like Black women learn very early in life. I think with Black men, it can be kind of different just because like a lot of their hobbies are like, you know, sports and things like that, not to be like gender, I don't know, like gendered and like normative and, you know, not, yeah, not trying to be sexist here, but like there's a lot of cases where, you know, as a girl, you watch things on TV, you watch things like I grew up on like Dawson's Creek and like Roswell and, you know, and Sister, yes. But even so, like how many dark skinned Black women were on any of these shows, you know? And so I feel like because of the way that girls are raised, and the way that the beauty standards, especially for women and girls, are set up, it's actually a lot harder in some ways in that aspect for us. And so you learn very early on what you are not, versus what you are, right? You know, you're not pretty, you're not fair enough, you don't have straight enough hair, things like that. And to see, you know, like to see that still be a problem and that still be a reality for people, it's really hard and heartbreaking to see, to be honest, because it isn't fair. And like I feel like we all thought we were past that in a lot of ways, and yet we're not. So yeah, it is really hard. And sorry, Ash, did you want to say something? Or
No,
yeah.
I was just thinking that um, it, with what you were talking about, Nat, like I also think that with growing up and having all of those, you know, thoughts in your head of not being good enough and not being, you know, good enough because you don't look a certain way, you know, I think that that leads to a sense of looking for validation in other things. And
Yes.
then, so, and you've got this kind of, I'm not saying all of them are like this, but you do have like a subset of fans, especially Black fans of K-pop, that really put themselves into it and are really looking for validation in you know, being a part of this, you know, community, and they get rejected time and time and time again, like with the whole things with the Black armies and being and how they've been treated. I don't know if you guys saw the Teen Vogue article
Yeah.
that was
Well,
written
I
out.
mean, we've been seeing it firsthand. Like
Yeah.
there was a Black army who got, well, she was an army. She got doxxed and like made a whole like a video about it and everything. Like she was. There's a lot of people who are like, I've seen some really really like outrageous, borderline like, not even borderline, just straight up criminal things like from armies, like for real. And I'm sure that it happens in every fandom, right? I'm just focusing on this just because, you know, I really feel like you can see it more. It's a lot more visible. You know, they have higher visibility. But girl, why this Chick-fil-A commercial has one of the Chick-fil-A sandwiches censored out? You know what? Or is this Arby's? You know what, girl? This might be Arby's. It looked the same to me. So, yes, Arby's. Anyway, so girl, I don't even know what I was saying. Oh,
I
Army.
agree. Yes, I
Army.
agree.
The the Chick-fil-A thing. Anyway, so the armies, yeah, girl, a lot of things that are going on in K-pop fandom is just like, I feel like some Black fans might have some sort of Stockholm syndrome. Some are just straight up racks. Do y'all know what a rack is?
I don't.
A rack or a rat?
A rack. If you know what a rack is, put it in the chat.
I don't know what a
Um,
rack is.
Matt, I need you to move your eyes over to the right. So Anyway, so I feel like that's the case. You know, and it's sad that people, you know, it's sad that so many Black girls do feel like they have to seek validation outside of their community. And I don't say that in a way that's like, you know, you should only be able to look to your community. But I say that because like it's sad that the community that they're from is such a unhealthy place for them. And they feel like they have to look for a place to commune with these people who a lot of times are super racist. A lot of the big armies and translation accounts are super racist. A lot of these like Black fans and all across fandoms are getting treated like absolute garbage. And the whole thing is like, you know, like I was saying earlier, and like I believe it was. Hang on, let me go back in the chat because. Oh yeah, shout outs to um, Liz for letting us know. I believe it was Liz. Yes, Liz for letting us know that the graduation is actually happening on Sunday and not Saturday. But anyway, Cheryl, California, was saying, yeah, like we were saying that, you know, we don't have to look for to celebrities to, you know, be a voice. I don't know. I don't need celebrities to do anything but open their purse, to be honest.
And they don't have to be loud about that either.
Yeah,
They
you
can
don't
just
have to go and like, you know, advertise that that's what you're doing, right?
yeah.
But oh, and yes, Alexandria, it is very weird that they released those statements back to back, and people were saying that, you know, there was all the memes about them being in the group chat, right? Um, it's strange. Like we see through you. And I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this because I started reading the comments and I got all my brain just started getting scrambled. But the point is like there is a lot of anti-blackness in these fandoms, and I agree with Ash that in that, and I understand that it is coming from lots of times a place of feeling like you can't belong anywhere else. And some people get so invested and tied up and wrap their emotions into these idols who, child, these idols are garbage. Some of them, obviously, there's some idols who aren't garbage, in my opinion, but a lot of them, I feel like it just feels like a Stockholm syndrome relationship, or like it feels like the fans are masochists because I don't understand how you can be a part of that. And even to go as far as we were talking about, wasn't it? I don't know what episode it was, but we talked about before how you got like stands putting in their Twitter names like, call me Jaehyun's bed wench. You know what I mean? Or like, call me Namjoon's house slave. Like, girl, what? Like, what? Or calling other Black people the N word, or, you know, doing the absolute most for the approval of the white fans in the fan base. It's strange.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
now I get why they feel like, you know, they need that escape, but I don't think that that's appropriate way to do it. And
Well, I don't know. I kind of think it's okay to love something and expect it to love you back. I mean, like, obviously,
I'm talking about the whole like, you know, rack being a rack.
oh, I see what you mean. No, but I think that's more like of a psychological thing, to be honest. So, I mean, like, who knows what trauma somebody comes into these things with and why it makes them react the way that they act. I mean, I'm going the empathetic route, I think, rather than the angry route, which is usually where I go. So, yeah. So, yeah. So I kind of just like, I feel like a lot of people go into these things with their own trauma and it influences the behavior. Because I remember even after the Jackson thing that happened like a while ago, when he had them dreads and then he tried to justify it, and then Ben Baller came out and was like, I created hip hop. But I remember specifically when that happened, and this Black girl had done a video on YouTube about how like it wasn't a big deal, we should get over it because slavery was 1,000 years ago. And she was like totally like, she believed it. Like you could tell that she believed it. And she made this video because she was angry that we were mad at Jackson Wang. And it was really surreal. But I think that really kind of like then, because I mean, I had already been into K-pop for a while anyways, and I had already seen how it rolled. So I kind of had an idea of, you know, the type of people that I would be meeting. And if we had a bingo, she would definitely be like 3 squares on that bingo, you know? But like some people will do anything to protect their faves. Anything. Like I saw somebody say like I will die for BTS or whatever. And I was just like, girl, you need to put the brakes on that right away. Cause like not even like what are you even talking about? Like what is even going on here? That's not healthy. That's not like that's crazy. And about the article, about the statements, not only was it strange that they all came in back to back, but Jungkook dropped his first single, and then on top of that, I'm pretty sure there was like a Good Morning America. There was some sort of promo that happened on American television about
it was all about like how the K-pop community and like K-pop artists and like their contributions to Black Lives Matter. It was trifling.
Yeah.
And okay, I do want to say this, right? Let's play devil's advocate. Apparently, it was already scheduled for Jungkook to drop that song or whatever, and like, okay, no, that's not even playing devil's advocate, because the fact of the matter is that makes it even more suspicious, because it was like you knew you couldn't drop this song and not get roasted, so you had to say something.
Yeah, and that's true.
All three saying something, like, yes, we can just like I can see how people think it can be linked. It could also be the fact, you know, it could also be too that, you know, ATEEZ and Monster X didn't say anything until they saw BTS do it. You know what I mean? Like,
I felt that might have been the case, to be honest. They didn't feel safe to say something until the bigger company said something first.
Right. Because we know good and well that SM is not saying. We just know. I mean, that's just the facts. Like, we know that they're not saying anything.
Can I interject to say, I would have never, ever, ever in 100,000 million years believe that Yesung from Super Junior, Mr. Blackface himself ×2, Mr. Like what? Like I can't believe he even posted anything about Black Lives Matter. And I mean, I'm not even one of those people who give people like, who's like, oh my God, he did it, he's for the cause, blah, blah. I don't believe that at all. But just the fact that he did it before Big Hit did it, before YG artists did it, like that is just insane to me.
Well, honestly, the only favorite person I really have felt the sincerity radiating off of them about it is CL.
Oh, yeah. she's been, but I feel like CL is so in tune with the Western world as well. She has like a lot of people in the West that she's very comfortable there. And I think that she gets it in a lot of ways that a lot of artists don't want to. And I feel like CL's always been somebody like, yeah, she's the hardcore hip hop girl from 21, but she's always been very soft as well. And I think that she always came across as very empathetic and just like, not just to her members, but to the fans and things like that as well too. And so, and also maybe because of the hardship she faced at YGE, I think it all sort of culminated in making her an even better person, unfortunately, like having to deal with all of that. And so her response was perfect. Her response said everything that we needed to hear from somebody in K-pop who is a leader in K-pop on top of that. And it's just so crazy that she is still, still very young, still, trying to find her way, but she still took the time to do something that she absolutely didn't have to do. Like, I know some people are like, oh, K-pop is built on on Black people and blah blah blah, so they should say something. And I mean, yeah, I think that
maybe not blah blah blah.
Sorry, no, I know. I just like, I was gonna say everything, but I was like trying to like get my thoughts out. Sorry, but I feel like she came in and she did what she had to do. It wasn't performative. It wasn't something that she was doing to mask something. It wasn't something she was doing to promote something. It wasn't something she was doing. Yeah. CL just said like, hey, I'm at home. playing some Animal Crossing, but I wanted to take some time out to talk about something that's very serious. And then she went about her business. I actually really appreciated it, Like, I kind of wish the J Park had just dropped the money, said he dropped the money, and just
hold on. That's the girl. You gotta wait before you start digging into.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning him. But
we gotta. I need to eat the salad first. Now, let me get the salad and the little amuse bouche. Okay, let me get a little bit of potato soup. Let me get that before I hit up the filet mignon. So let's actually. That's actually. I think this is a good segue into going back to what this was originally supposed to be before we started talking about the companies speaking out, which was going onto the Korean side of the internet. So to speak.
Yes.
Korean Twitter, Korean YouTube, Korean forums, and just understanding how South Korea is reporting on this, talking to Korean friends, and understanding how South Korea is reporting on the situation going on with the Black Lives Matter protests, the George Floyd protests. And one thing that I am noticing is that it seems to me that a lot of KNets, obviously you're going to have, we talked about this in the episode released today. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it after we finish streaming. But a lot of KNets have this view that, well, first and foremost, it's being overwhelmingly reported in a way that only talks about the effects to Koreans. So it's like, for example, it'll be like there was a protest and then a Korean shop got burned down and they're targeting Korean places. And it's making it seem like it's, people are specifically targeting Koreans, which, number one, being somebody who's looking at this in real time, like from all over the country, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that there aren't Korean places that have been looted and burnt down and rioted, next to those businesses. But I will say that I have not personally seen a single instance of it. And I've seen like hundreds of videos on Twitter from all over the country. And I just have not seen one specific business that was looted that was particularly a Korean business. Is it maybe happening? Sure. There's tons of there are Black businesses being burnt down, okay? It's not just, or being looted. It's not just one, specific class of businesses. But I think that's kind of a disingenuous way to report on this, because that's not they're reporting it as if like Black people are intentionally going out and like looting Korean businesses. That is not what's happening. In fact, if we talked about this on the last episode, like I was saying, there are people who are inciting or who were inciting the looting that had nothing to do with the protesters. And in fact, it looks like when the protesters did, there were things that, were like riotous happening. It was against big billion-dollar corporations. It was against government institutions. It was not targeting small businesses and mom and pop shops. It wasn't that. So first and foremost, that is horrible journalism. It should not be being reported on that way. Let us know if you've seen anything like that. If you have any links or anything, put it in the chat. I would like to see some of those. But yeah, so that's one thing. And then what this has led to is there seems to be like a very stark divide in the Korean community on how to view the Black Lives Matter protests. You've got your extremely racist crew who just don't like Black people just because. I mean, those are the people who will never see the light of day and who will always be on the wrong side of history. And then you have people who are, more open-minded, but still, I feel don't understand what's actually going on. And I think there's also Korean American people who might not be viewing this in the way that I think they're viewing it through a lens of, we'll get into that a little later because it kind of ties into the J Park thing. But I want to just say, what I've been seeing a lot that's sort of a commonality with all of this is it reminds me of the 1992 LA riots, is what people are saying. And people are saying where, these quote unquote savage blacks just came and just destroyed Korean businesses for no reason. And, all because a white person committed acts of brutality against a black person. So this, that, and other. And they're just, completely separating themselves out of the conversation to make it seem like they are being or victimized systemically by black people, and also to make it seem like the 1992 riots were a result of black people just being hateful and racist. But what I noticed a lot of Korean people specifically, love to leave out of what happened with the LA riots is all the buildup to that is not just Rodney King. They love to leave out Latasha Harlins. Okay. And I don't know if you guys know who Latasha Harlins is. I know most people.
I do.
Okay. And Ash, I don't know if you're familiar with Latasha Harlins.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't know, if for everybody who's listening, I don't know, just let us know if you know who that is, and the situation surrounding that, because it is a very important, I feel like, conversation in Black history and a very important conversation period in world history, because I feel like it gets swept under the rug. It flies under the radar. When people talk about 1992 riots, they want to talk about it as if it was a race war that, Black people just for no reason at all just hated Korean people. And they don't want to talk about the truth of what happened. They don't want to talk about the fact that a Korean store owner named Soon Jadu, she murdered Latasha Harlins because she thought Latasha was stealing orange juice. Okay. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the actual footage of when Latasha was in the convenience store and when Jadu murdered Latasha. I don't suggest you watch it. It is, it is very graphic. I don't want, anybody to have to see something like that. But I personally did watch it. I've seen it before. And I want to, number one, say that, what this woman did to Latasha is reprehensible, period. But then when you consider the fact that Latasha was going to pay for the orange juice, had the money in her hand, and you see how the events unfolded and how the shop owner Jadu was just very aggressive towards Latasha, it really puts things into perspective. And she murdered this young lady, and then I feel like that marked an important turning point in race relations between Korean people and Black people. I feel like Black people kind of started to reach a breaking point of having enough from society, of having enough from not just white supremacy, but also white supremacy that has seeped into Asian communities. A lot of Asian communities benefit from white supremacy and don't want to talk about that because obviously, I'm not going to deny that Asians get discriminated against. That is true. However, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they don't benefit from white supremacy, which is something that Black people can never benefit from. Asian people benefit from white supremacy due to the model minority myth, is what they like to call it. But I mean, is it really a myth if you really do get treated better because you're Asian? Is it really a myth? Is it really a myth if there were tons of provisions in place that essentially told Asian people that they were better than Black people? And obviously it is a tool of white supremacy, right? The model minority, quote unquote, myth. However, that doesn't change the fact that it actually does exist. And the fact that a lot of Asian people, when they were immigrating to America, primarily in the mid-century time, the mid-century, in the 20th century, I'm talking 1900s, they were, there was a priority placed on only recruiting the best of the best Asians, quote unquote. And there was priority put on giving them special grants so that they can open businesses in Black communities. And that's why we talk about in our podcast, for example, Korean hair care industry. They were given special grants to open businesses in our communities that the people who lived in those communities, were exempt from. Mm-hmm. And they benefited from that. And they came into the community. They opened these businesses. They told us that we were less than them. They told us that they weren't going to hire us. They told us that they were going to profile us and follow us around their stores. They told us that they don't care to think twice about shooting us just because they suspect that we might be doing something, all because they're stereotyping us based on, I mean, they have these thoughts about Black people that come out of just pure ignorance and it's gotten to the point where it's just hatred at that point. And it all kind of culminated in the murder of this young lady. And I feel like the tensions still exist and nobody really wants to talk about that. I feel like Asian people, not Asian people, but Korean people, lots of Korean people like to talk about the 1992 riots as an excuse for their racism against Black people, but don't want to talk about what led up to that. Talk about the years of being effectively looked at as a criminal and treated as a criminal and put in harm's way in Asian communities.
And I think to sort of piggyback off that is sort of to touch on a lot of the things that we were seeing in the last, especially with social media becoming a bit more current and people recording things a lot more often now, especially. But the Black hair business is like such a hotbed topic even to this day, because it's still like, I was looking at this article in like, was it 2018? And it was like in the US, South Koreans own like 60 to 80% of the Black hair market. And that trend is pretty much dominant in Canada as well. And in France, it's by Asians, like Pakistani, I think, and Indians, I think, or Afghanistans. But it's never really in our hands is kind of the idea. And I just remember seeing a lot of articles of Black people who tried to get into the hair care business and couldn't because distributors overseas would not sell to them, or they'd mark up the prices, or they'd over demand things that they would never demand from, their fellow patriots, because they wanted to sort of deter you from getting into this market because they felt that they owned it. And I just remember even being a kid and going to the Black hair store, and it was always owned by Asians, and they had no Black people behind the counter. Black people could maybe help you, buy something, but they were never allowed behind the counter. They were never allowed to touch the money in these places. And it has changed. I think social media, thank God, has really brought an awareness to that. And so now if you go there, they do have Black people behind the counter. But it was just one of those things that you see growing up and you kind of normalize. Like, of course, they don't want us behind the counter. They don't trust us because Black people are thieves. Like it's stuff that you kind of like know it's not true, but if you see it enough, it sort of becomes a truth in itself. And I mean, we also want to talk about going to the nail salon. And there was, I can't remember right now. Damn, I wish I had the link. But there was that story of that, I don't know if a Black girl got beat up by somebody who had owned a nail salon. I don't know if she was trying to say that the girl didn't want to pay her or whatnot. And it actually led to protests outside of that nail salon. And it happened in New York and was, I think, last year, maybe the year before. So it's not just in terms of K-pop. It's not just in terms of, K-dramas and just, there's so many facets of it, dry cleaning, food. There's a reason that other people of color who are not Black go into Black communities and they open their restaurants there.
Yes,
there is a reason.
And honestly, I will say this: like there's a difference in the restaurants that are open in the Black communities and the restaurants that are open in the white communities. First and foremost, I will say this: this is a strange thing that I've noticed. I don't know if it's the same in you guys' cities. I know we all kind of are scattered across the U.S., but even to the listeners, where I live, it seems like the ones I live in an area where it seems like the ones that are open in that area are more so open by Asian Americans, and it's like catering towards that the demographic of like, the cosmopolitan, like, I don't know, trust fund babies. And then there's ones that are opening up in other areas predominantly urban, urban quote unquote areas that tend to be opened up by more like first generation. It's a weird kind of difference that I've noticed. So like one is like it's being opened up by people who either are mixed with white or they maybe have been they're 3-4 generations in America, versus the other one is like unambiguously Asian, first generation immigrant, things like that. I've noticed that there's a difference there. I don't know why that difference exists, but I want to say it's because I think, I'm gonna be real with you, I think that in white communities and in these so-called like more affluent communities, they only want to see a certain type of
immigrant.
Yes. You know what I mean? Or a certain type of, not even immigrant, but a certain type of part of that ethnicity. Like they don't want to see the people who are, the first generation people who, maybe are not quote unquote assimilated into American culture. They only want to see a specific performance of it. It's really weird.
I definitely agree, and I think I have actually read some studies on the fact that when you go into like urban areas, as you mentioned, it is usually people who are the new to the country or first gen. So they haven't been in the country long enough, and that's where they open their stores or their food places or whatnot. Whereas the more acclimatized immigrant is going to open it in like an affluent neighborhood, and it's going to be like a fusion, and they're going to use, I don't know, like ketchup or something. I don't know, but like it's going to be.
Yeah, anybody who lives in LA, you can see the difference if you've ever lived in LA. Like it's a very real difference in the way things are done, the way the business is operated. One seems more family owned, the other one seems more like new agey, almost like a tech startup, but for food. It's really weird.
Yeah, and I mean they do it for reasons. Obviously, like they don't have access to the affluent areas, obviously. So it's kind of frustrating that they like the system is set up to herd everybody into the spot, and it's also set up for you to fight each other instead of fighting the people who made the rules unfair to begin with. They force you into this area and say there are limited resources because we're only giving you 10% of what is there. The 90% we have, and we're going to keep it. But here's this 10%. Now you guys have to fight yourselves for it. And, because we're still kind of mad that slavery is not a thing, we're going to put the Black people at the bottom, just sort of uplift you a little bit and go. And I mean, I don't want to like make a joke about it, but that's kind of how it comes across. Like when you look at the data, you look at and you look at what people like the go-to phrases, like Black people are thugs, Black, they have high rates of crime and things like that. And it's like, well, yeah, if you over police an area, obviously they're going to have higher rates of crime.
There's also actually really intriguing research out about that. That says African Americans is coming out of Michigan State. African Americans are more likely to be wrongfully convicted. It's coming out of their College of Law. It says African American prisoners who were convicted of murder are about 50% more likely to be innocent than other convicted murderers and spend longer time in prison. So we already know that we're more likely to be convicted for the same crimes, but we're also more likely to be convicted even if we didn't do anything. So
well, look at I'm gonna look it up in a bit, but
and there's this talk about Black on Black crime too. Sorry, I just have to say this. Go. It is not real. Sorry for yelling in y'all ears. It is not real. Crime is a product of who is next to you at that moment. Crimes of passion, at least, not violent crime, quote unquote. That is what it is. Most Black people live in predominantly Black communities, so it's not really a coincidence, or it's either predominantly Black or predominantly white, because that's kind of, I mean, if you look at the makeup of the U.S., it's mostly white, and then there's a large Latinx community. I don't want to say the wrong terms or whatever, but there is a large community there, and then it's a Black community. And of course there's people, there's lots of overlap between the Black and Latinx communities, but I think a key difference is a lot of Latinx people are just spicy white. Like there are Latinx people who are, you know, have mestizo, or, you know, Afro Latino, things like that. But then there's like a huge population that, like Jennifer Lopez, that are literally just white people that speak Spanish.
Yep.
So it's just another way of saying white people living in communities with black people. But anyway, point is that if you look at any community, it's like, honestly, black on black crime is like going to, I don't know, India and saying most of the crimes that Indians commit are against Indian people. Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. And I mean, there are stats also to prove that people are generally going to abuse or murder or whatnot people of the same race. So
It's just
yeah,
like,
it's
duh.
just common sense. Yeah,
Like,
it's just common sense.
they think they're saying something like, you know, black people are more violent against each other, or, you know, and that's what, again, I don't really trust a lot of statistics put out, because as somebody who has done a lot of research into criminal justice, I'll just put it that way. Um, it is very easy to misconstrue those statistics and to make them to fit a white supremacist narrative. And I'm not saying there aren't people who commit crimes, like obviously right? But I'm saying that it's, number one, it tends to be very overblown, and number two, a lot of these convictions are a result of just horrible policing, the justice system is broken in very many ways. And I think, you know, that's why you can't take those things at face value. You have to do your own research into that. And a good place to start, if anybody hasn't, and I'm sure all of our listeners probably have already, but just in case you haven't, a good place to start is the documentary 13 on the prison system in America. That's a good place to start. So
yeah. Well, I was just going to mention, because we were talking about the over policing of black bodies and things like that. It's like, when you look at stats, just remember, like, Kelly Williams Bowler and Tanya McDowell, they enrolled their children in public schools in areas that they didn't reside so their kids could have a better life. They both went to jail for it. Meanwhile, Felicity Huffman and Lori was it Loughlin? I think it's Loughlin. Like, they pretty much just Loughlin?
Like,
okay. Yeah. They pretty much just paid a bunch of money, and they were like, oh, you know, you can show up, but you'll probably not really do any time, because who cares? And it's, if you look at that and you look at a lot of the information that we see, that, I mean, there are facts on the internet. There are facts in the news, you know, even that sort of corroborate the fact that black people get harsher penalties. They actually do go to jail. They have and they're just over policed in general. On top of the fact that they're underfunded in terms of education. And so it's kind of like really important for people to sort of start using their brains a little bit more. Don't just see something on the news and automatically believe that it's true. Question things. It's okay to question things. It's okay to do the research on your own. And it's okay to ask people who, you know, maybe are more well-versed in a certain topic, a certain trend. You know, it's okay to sort of get that information and in order to form your own opinion on it. I mean, obviously, we have very particular opinions on this podcast, and they do fall in line with the protest and what's going on in the world. But we do have different ways that we interact with them. We have different nuanced opinions on things. I mean, we don't always agree on things, and I think that it's okay to have these types of discussions. If it makes you uncomfortable, if it makes you question your own viewpoint, I think it's important to have that conversation. And I mean, that's why I really do enjoy doing this, even though we haven't really talked about K-pop. I feel we haven't had like a really happy K-pop episode in a very long time, because it's just like end-room scandals, rape this, you know, like, and now and COVID-19, and it's just been like a lot so far in 2020. It's really hard to see the silver lining in a lot of ways, because there's so much shit that has happened this year alone, you know? But yeah, I mean, just to sort of take things back on topic, Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we get on to the next topic?
Well, I'm trying to find where you what you were talking about when you were saying, and I believe it was Liz in the chat mentioned, or it might have been Alexandria in the chat that mentioned.
The Asian hair store and the
yeah,
assault?
the stories about because there was an epic comment. I hate the word epic. Oh my god, I sound like one of those like 40-year-old YouTubers. There was an amazing comment that
hey, there's nothing wrong with 40-year-old YouTubers. I thought you were gonna say a CW show because then I would totally understand it because they overuse the word epic every episode.
Really? I don't. Yeah. I mean, I try not to watch CW stuff, but I think you might have been talking about. Let's see. John Sang-suk punched April Harding in the mouth in front of her 3-year-old son because he accidentally. No, that wasn't a nail salon. Actually, I don't see. Oh, the video of employees at Red Apple Nail Salon in Brooklyn throwing acetone on black customers, beating them with broomsticks.
That was it.
Yeah. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Trifling. But that actually is a pretty decent segue into our last topic. And then maybe we can just kind of open up the floor for any comments or questions from listeners, viewers. But Jay Park, or as I like to call him, Jason Parker.
Jason Parker.
Well, I guess he decided that he has had enough of being, I don't know, he's had enough of being, I mean, he's never, I don't know. It was enough activism for him, I guess. It wasn't just him. It was also a slew of other artists signed to his label that decided to kind of a little bit go back on their Black Lives Matter support. So if you guys don't know, recently, I want to say yesterday, there was a post that a user posted on Instagram. I'm not going to say the username. I mean, in my futile effort to not boost this person's Instagram page, but I will read the post that he made. So he posted a video of, and I'll post it here. I'll post the link so that Nat can post the video in the chat. He posted a video of an Asian kid or an Asian man, I don't know how old he is, being bullied. I can't post the link. Okay, I can't get the link. Sorry. He posted a video of an Asian man or a child, I don't know, a boy, let's say boy, being bullied by some black kids. And under the video, he posted this as the caption. I'll read the whole thing. While a lot of the Asian hip hop community that have the power to move shit won't post this because they worried of the backlash they'll get and be misunderstood, which I get but don't respect. I'm gonna let it be known. There are cowards out there that are taking advantage of the protests by going out looting and attacking the innocent, especially Asian people. Time and time I post about these incidents and it always gets swept under the rug. Just as much as I stand in solidarity with my black brothers and sisters, I stand with my Asian brothers and sisters as well. Fight back and protect yours. 아시아 사람들도 인종차별주의 공격에 대처해왔다. 이것도 올려 부모님이 사온 것을 보호하라. Shout out to the @username for posting this. And just like they said, sorry, there's more. It's a long post. And just like they said, I'm speechless right now. This video has been virally shared throughout Facebook and Instagram. Multiple users have sent us this video of these 3 Asian teens being bullied and attacked by a group of black males. Angry emoji, cursing emoji. If I see any group of Asians do this or attack anyone like this, I will call them out and put them on blast instantly. How would things be like if it were flipped the other way around? I'm still questioning and puzzled as to why people are going around filming themselves committing crimes. This makes no damn sense. Things need to be stopped. At Sean King, which is hilarious. At Sean King, why would you use your platform to call out and condemn these attacks on innocent people? Some of the problems and issues in America stem from from incidents and events like this and need to be addressed now. These attacks on Asians need to stop. We can't turn a blind eye to let these attacks be dusted under the mat, causing further hate and divide amongst the Black and yellow communities. I don't want to see another elderly Asian woman get kicked in the face again and it doesn't get charged as a hate crime. Also, let me make this clear: we aren't comparing this incident to Black Lives Matter at all. We are we are in full support of the BLM movement and want justice for George Floyd as well as all the other wrongful deaths that have happened in America. We stand against any form of injustice and inequality. Okay, so that is his comment. Initial thoughts. It was long. That is his caption. Any initial thoughts?
Ash?
I mean, I have to say, on some level, they have a right to be concerned about their own community. I mean, if they want to, like they're talking about, worry about me and mine, if that's what they want to do, then, it's like fine. Um, but I don't know. I can't really. I'm having a hard time expressing it because I feel like it's wrong to say that on some level.
Like wrong for you to say what you're saying or wrong for them?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll give y'all, you know me, I'm gonna talk. So I'll give my thoughts on this. Number one, okay, I think it is completely valid to be concerned with what is going on, what is happening, to Asians in their community. I don't know if I hadn't heard about an elderly Asian woman getting kicked in the face. If it was a hate crime, then it should be charged as such. But if she just got kicked in the face, it should. I don't see how that would be a hate crime unless her Asian was the reason why somebody did that. Um, I think that's disgusting. I don't believe in unjustly abusing people. I don't believe in that. Um, and like Ash, like you were saying, if you want to go up for your community, 100% do so. I go up for my community, you go up for yours. It makes sense. I think where we get into the problem of, of course, a lot of the K hip hop artists went back and liked this post. I think number one, it's super cowardly to do that. Like, dude, just post your own post about it. Number two, another thing I have an issue with is like, and I think this is my biggest issue actually, and it actually is my only issue. I'm gonna say it that way. Um, my issue with this is that why now did do all these people, because it's not just like this one person, but there's a lot of people in Asian communities and other communities, not just Asian communities, but white people do this too. There's a lot of people who are choosing now to be like, well, what about all of our people? And I have to ask, like, why do you only conveniently care about what's going on in the Asian community when it's against black people? Like why is it never like, you ever notice that people that, at least from in my perspective, the things that I see, I can't speak for everybody and I can't speak for every Korean person. I won't do that. But I will say that from what I see mostly, it's almost always look at these black people committing crimes against us. It's never look at these white people doing it. When the fact of the matter is a lot of the people that I see saying those racist things about, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there are black people out there who have made Asian jokes, which, I don't do that. Um, but what I'm saying is like, I never see the same energy brought for white people. Ever. 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 I don't see the same energy bought for other Asian people. I never see, anytime we were talking earlier at the very top of this live, we were talking about, atrocities that Asian countries have committed against each other. Japan and Korea, Korea and Vietnam, Japan and China. We talk about Japan and China a lot. China against its own people. Why don't you ever boost that? I mean, obviously, with the China situation, it's a little different because you've got Hong Kong, you've got Taiwan, you've got China, mainland China, and all these things. But with like different ethnicities, like with Korea and Japan, all that, I don't hear these K hip hop artists making the same noise. Or when it's white people committing these crimes, I don't hear the same noise. You only want to speak, and not only do I not hear the same noise, but I also don't hear this noise ever any other time of the year except for when it's time to fight for black rights. You know, when
Do
it's time.
you do
Go
you
ahead.
know when that video was? Is that the video he was referring to with the black individuals that attacked the
From
Asians? Was that recent?
well, the from the source that I'm seeing and other people who have been circulating the video, it's a 3-year-old video.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be from 2017. Like,
Okay.
you mean to tell me that was the most like I don't know, like you referenced all of these atrocities that you've been seeing, but this is the video that you made it about, which is 3 years old. So it just makes it seem like you're trying to bite off of a movement, and I'm not feeling that. I don't like that. I don't. Do what you need to do for your community, go up for your community, but like, why do you only care right now? Like, that's my problem. Like, you don't care about Asians any other day of the year. In fact, most of the time, you're either up one of two asses, white or black. You're either you either trying to appropriate black culture or you're trying to assimilate into white culture. But all of a sudden, whenever the conversation is on black people, you have to try to steal that light away from them.
Yeah, I have to agree with that sentiment because it always comes across as this like whataboutism. Like somebody says Black Lives Matter, and it's like, what about white lives? What about these lives? What about these lives? And it's like it's also kind of similar to the Black Girl Rock
Yeah.
show when they did
And
that,
Black Panther.
and Black Panther when
Oh yeah, when they were like, when are we going to get an Asian version of
Black
this? And
Girls
I'm like,
Rock came about, it was to highlight girls and women in media.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's kind of disingenuous because people clearly don't care about these issues. They just don't like it when because Black people tend to really know how to make moments and movements. And so I feel like when they see it and when they see us, on with everything that's going on with social media and how we're really mobilizing right now, they see it and they think like, damn, like, we should have that as well. And I mean, you know me, I don't mind amplifying other issues. I don't mind it at all. We talk a lot about, how about the treatment of like Korean women in Korea. We talk about indigenous people in North America. I mean, for us, we talk about Hong Kong when that was popping off a lot. I mean, there's so much stuff still going on over there too right now. But like, we don't, like, Black people, from what I can see, and just like personally on this podcast, what I can see, we do love talking about and amplifying other issues. That's not a problem. And I don't think that that is a problem for other Black people for the most part, outside of the ones that are like, have been burnt too much and just like don't care anymore. Like, no, like there's definitely a group of Black people who feel that way because of the reciprocity that they have received. And I mean, I can empathize in that in some ways as well too, because sometimes I kind of feel like, why should I put myself on the line for somebody who's going to turn around and dredge up a 3-year-old freaking video to make a point about how, oh, well, Asians get beat up by Black people too, and they use all of these slurs, mind you, that I didn't even know existed. Like, I don't know who created these slurs, but I have never heard like I think only one of them was something that I had heard, and I heard it like on TV or something like that. I had never actually heard somebody use it in like person. So it was like really surreal when I saw people trying to divert the conversation, towards their own racial or ethnicity based sort of topic. And it's like, just show up for us and we will show up for you.
And the
That's
thing
how
is,
it
we've
works.
shown up for you time and time again in the past. It's not like Black people just let people fall by the wayside. People forget about the civil rights movement and how many different communities that included. It wasn't just like Black people. It wasn't just like we were uplifting only Black voices. And people, and that's another thing is like there's this argument of well, like the NYU guys, the a part of the Asian frat who got kicked out of NYU or they got suspended or something because they were in their group chat basically saying that Black people don't do anything for Asians. They were saying black on black crime, all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, like, even on, like you're saying, even on our podcast, we do go for a lot of things that are affecting Asian people. Or people always try to say, you guys don't ever talk about comfort women, or you don't talk about this. And
we
okay,
do. We do talk about women.
every Black K-pop podcaster that I know of always talks about the issues that are going on in the K-pop community, that are going on, even in Korean society. And I know we talk about it a lot, constantly. Like you said, Nth Room, like the Korean feminist movement. Like we talk about those things a lot. So that's a lie, first and foremost. But it's just like the fact of the matter that number one, like we shouldn't. I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't even. That's not even a valid argument. Just why do you need that to see the humanity in other people? You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the gist of it, right? Like we did touch on it last episode, but the fact is that they don't see us as people, and they see us as entities that move cultures and that bring trends and that play sports really well. And like all the stereotypes in the world, those are what they see. They don't see us as people. And I think that the core of this issue, as it keeps arising, I mean, Ferguson, the LA riots, what's going on right now, like the core of these issues is that they don't see us as people, and they don't want to see us as people, because if they start seeing us as people that hurt and that have been stomped on for hundreds of years at this point, then they have to start looking inward, and nobody wants to do that. It's kind of the idea. And so that's why you have a lot of these people who are just being performative and just saying things like Jessica Jung, who tweeted a black square or whatever, and I tweeted her and I was like, sis, they need money. Like, open your Birkin and give them some money. Like, that's what they need. I mean, I could care less if you put up like a square or whatever. I mean, I find it quite hilarious when I see it from time to time, especially from certain people that generally I believe don't even like Black people, and prove it in the work that they provide, whether it's as a TV writer, or as an actor, or as an artist, and they put up the the symbolic black square and did nothing but that, and it is amusing to see how some people are trying to take advantage of the moment and the movement in order to boost themselves, like a lot of activists taking pictures and video, things like that. At these things. So I mean, a lot of that has been a bit like, frustrating / amusing. And then there's a lot of people. I think one of the positives that I've seen lately is a lot of Black people especially are feeling braver to mention their own struggles and their own issues with whatever company that they work for, especially after these companies have put out statements saying, we stand with the Blacks and their situation,
Okay, I know Popeye's statement was hilarious, but
yeah,
I know it's so wrong for me to think that was funny, but it was funny to me. Anyway, no, I definitely agree, and I feel like to kind of just also add some more depth to this conversation is I also think there's an issue of the fact that in America it's not like a lot of people are aware of Korean history. You know what I mean? Like not just in America, but any any Western country, any predominantly white country. Most of our history is white history. So when you talk about us speaking on your past atrocities, I think it's a little bit more difficult because it's not like America is very different, I think, from other countries. And this sounds so American to me, but it is different from every other countries in the world. Where a lot of people, a lot of my friends who are from other countries, they tell me that they do learn a lot about America, or they learn. I mean, at the very least, on their news, they see America all the time in their media, their movies. It's America all the time. Whereas in America, it's the same thing. It's America all the time. It's a very self-centered country in that way, and a lot of our media is, you know, for example, Parasite was like isn't like the first foreign language film in history to ever get Best Picture at the Oscars. Like that just goes to show you a lot about the history, like how where America is in being sort of a worldly country. A lot of Americans have never left the country. If you go to Europe, people regularly leave the country before they're 18 years old. But if you in America, most American kids, the most that they've ever done is gone to the closest, metropolitan city. It's not common for American people to be as in tune with other world history. And I'm not saying that's an excuse necessarily, because we do get on idols for not being in tune. But part of that is, number one, let's be real, a lot of American history and American things are prominent across the world. So that's number one. But number two, and what I think is actually more important and more valid, is the fact that these Korean K hip hop artists and K-pop artists are biting directly off of Black culture. It's not like these Black artists are like biting trot. You know what I mean? Nobody's biting trot music. Nobody's
They
inserting.
should. Trot is great.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I'm just nobody is inserting Korean lyrics into their song the way Korean hip hop artists insert African American vernacular English into their songs. It's not the same. We're not walking around like wearing hanboks the same way they're walking around, trying to dread their hair and lock up their hair and wear it this way and that way, or wearing certain types of like what BTS was doing with Idol, which they were trying to wear like South African inspired clothing. Like you don't see a lot of Black Americans biting Korean culture like that. Honestly, I'm not gonna keep it real with you. This sounds really strange, but a lot of Black people I know have never even tried Korean food.
That's not surprising.
I'm not surprised.
More people have tried Japanese food like sushi or Chinese food than Korean food. You know what I mean?
I think it's because the transfer or of media, especially, is very different. Like Japanese culture with the kung fu era and with anime has always been a bit more present in North American culture. So you'll definitely have people who are like, oh, I watch Dragon Ball Z and I do all of these things and I love sushi.
Even too, and also I feel like the Korean, like it really is a wave. It really is very new to Black Americans and Americans in general. And I think that you can see that if you go back. I think we talked about this in an episode a while ago, but if you go back and talk about, what was popular in some of the theaters in Black neighborhoods, even, my mom and my grandparents talk about it a lot, like the Bruce Lee movies. Wu-Tang Clan was inspired by, martial arts. They were inspired by those sorts of things to get their name. And Chinese culture and Japanese culture is a lot more ingrained in American culture than Korean is. So I think that it's kind of a fallacy to say, well, you haven't ever spoken up about this super obscure, not like the Comfort Women, but other things, like this super obscure thing that nobody knew about Korea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that now, even as we talk about the global push of K-pop, and how loud it has gotten, especially in the last couple of years through the BTS movement, BTS's rise and things like that, even like regular people on the street don't know what K-pop is to this day. You know, like I mean, even at work, like I'll have people be like, "Oh, is that group that's really popular that has the 7 guys who kind of have different hair but don't?" And I'm just like, "What is even going on?" And it, like, no, first of all, that's like day 6, but also like, what are you even talking about? It's like people kind of have an idea of what it is, sort of, but not really. And I mean, obviously, I guess if they do eventually get to push it, like get that push on radio and things like that, that could open it up a lot more. But for the most part, I still kind of feel like people know who Bruce Lee is. People know what Dragon Ball is and Sailor Moon. Like people know what these things are.
Yeah, they understand those cultures, whereas Korean culture is still very much a mystery to many like average Americans. Like they just don't really know that much about it.
Oh, there's some interesting comments. Cheryl mentioned that the sushi places in her hometown are owned by Koreans. And Liz mentioned that on the Korean side, I think that there are reasons why they might resist being seen as given in, quotes, to U.S. concerns, which I think might have reasons. But then that intersects with anti-Blackness. And those are actually really interesting points. The fact that like Koreans don't even open up their own restaurants. They open up Japanese restaurants because they know that's the wave, that's the trend. People know what Japanese food is.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief.
Yeah.
There were literally 2 Korean spots in my entire metropolitan area, and the first time I was ever introduced to Korean food was, I mean, I was in LA. So, I mean, and obviously LA has one of the largest Korean populations, if not probably the largest in the country. So I feel like that kind of tells you a lot about the crossover there, like how it's ingrained and where it's going and how it's growing. And it's only been recently where in my city we've been getting more Korean restaurants, but it's been like that fusion stuff. It's been like Mexican fusion, or it's been like the super bougie kind of style. It's not been Korean barbecue type spot or anything like that.
Yeah, I haven't been to like a really good Korean barbecue spot in Toronto yet, to be honest. And it seems like most of them are like Asian fusion more so than like just Korean based. Even in Koreatown, and then I think about it, there wasn't like when I looked up like best Asian restaurants, whatever, they didn't really mention Korean spots as well. For me, if I'm gonna eat Korean food, I'll go to the grocery store. I'll go to the Asian grocery store and I'll get like kimchi and I'll get some other things.
I literally eat it myself, to be honest.
Yeah,
like I
have made it
cook anyway, so
yeah, I have made it before, but I get really lazy, so I just buy it pre-made. I buy the fresh pre-made.
I have this really good recipe. I'm gonna
share
it you offline.
Share it later. Yeah,
it's so good. Anyways,
I do have a question. Okay,
yes.
we did mention the Yoongi and the Vietnam scandal.
Sure.
But we're still waiting on confirmation for that, right? Because I mean, I knew it blew up for a bit, and now I don't really see anything about it.
Yeah, I can't find.
So I think people just kind of dropped it, which that's your prerogative. It's I don't know because I don't speak Vietnamese, so I don't know. I speak English, so I knew the Jim Jones, but I don't know about the Vietnamese that was allegedly in the song. If Vietnamese people say it was there, I think it deserves to be looked into. And
Absolutely.
if it's not there, then it's not there, right? You can't. I'm not gonna sit up here and just like find reasons to like be mad at you when you've already got a slew of them, right? So,
are you also surprised that Big Hit actually spoke out about the Jim Jones thing?
I think what's strange to me, and some people have pointed this out, and I don't know if anybody who's listening to this, I don't know if you guys saw anything going around about this, but some people were pointing out that like it's really interesting how it took basically Korean fans complaining about it for them to do something about it. Like a lot of these companies, they don't care about international fans. And I think that's a horrible, sad truth for a lot of international fans, but I think it's the facts. Like they don't care about y'all. Like that's why I get so hesitant to call myself a fan of a lot of these groups and stuff. Cause I can like your music and like your concepts and like your look, and not feel like I'm going to dedicate, a paycheck to your concert. You know what I mean? And just because I don't I don't see it. And they only spoke out because Korean said something. And it's really funny because if you look at netizen comments, netizens are basically like, we only care about them because they're popular in America. So it's just like, it's kind of a paradox. It's like,
Yeah.
Mm.
it's, I don't know. I don't know how much longer BTS is going to last, to be honest, because I feel like they've been in a lot of scandals that Korean people just fundamentally disagree with. And I feel like I'm hard pressed to believe the scandals are going to stop. And some of them shouldn't be scandals. Like Jungkook getting a tattoo is not a scandal, but you know that's their culture.
Yeah.
So, um,
I did want to like sort of piggyback on that and just what I've seen about the Korean reaction to BTS versus now how dependent a lot of these artists are becoming on the international market, because a lot of K-pop groups don't actually need that Korean validation as much as they used to because of the international aspect of it. A good
ATs.
80s, wonderful. But also, I would mention to Tiara, who
mm,
were lambasted and blacklisted and basically pushed out. And if they did not have the Chinese market, they would have had to just disband. But the Chinese market kept them in business for years, like literal years, where they were still doing Korean comebacks that nobody really kind of paid attention to, only to just call them bullies and things like that. To the point where they were actually able to rebound in Korea and actually win on a music show at the end of their careers pretty much as a group. But and it wasn't until China and Korea had sort of that sort of Cold War kind of thing going on that they actually had to disband because most of their money at that point was coming in from China. So it's kind of interesting when you think about how they're trying to say that this is like an international issue, doesn't have anything to do with these artists who are K-pop artists, but yet a lot of these artists really are existing on their international fan base, which, promotes them like crazy, pays for their merchandise from Korea, mind you, goes to Korea to see them. Also, and also now has opened the market for them to tour.
yeah, it's like it's not only the fact that you're biting Black culture, you're biting J-pop, but it's also the fact that you are making so much money off of biting those cultures from those cultures.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but I can kind of see why people were angry that people didn't speak up sincerely or didn't speak up in the period or didn't speak up in the right time frame. And I think what made it even more obvious that, for example, Big Hit wasn't, sincere is that on the days leading up to them posting, they were staying off Twitter, girl. They were posting everywhere but Twitter. They posted on like Weibo, which is like the Chinese social media. They were posting on Weverse, which is their fan cafe thing. They were posting everywhere but on like English, like predominantly English speaker and predominantly like non BTS fan media. And not only that, but they were like, it's just like they were ignoring it, like going out of their way to ignore it. And I know people were saying like Baekhyun kind of did the same thing, which I don't expect anything from Baekhyun. I know Nat, you love him, but child, look, he can sing, but that's all he can do for me. Like I don't need anything. I think Baekhyun is, my feelings about him.
I think Baekhyun has a great voice, and I think he's slightly attractive for a short man. That is all I can say about it. I'm very superficial. I don't think you guys understand that there are very, very, very small amount of actual idols that I stand, that I say that I stand with my full heart. If
Girl,
I
I understand dead people. They can't disappoint me. I'm serious.
so
Like,
yeah, and
you
I mean,
know,
I'm not here to shame people either. Like if you stand somebody and you still acknowledge that they have said or done fucked up things and you hold them accountable for it, you just that's just someone. I mean, that's kind of similar to like loving your parents sometimes when they do some things that they shouldn't be doing. Like there are a lot of like emotional attachments that can't be explained, like in the same breath. And I don't want to shame anybody for it, because a lot of people, I think people get really defensive when you call out their idols for that reason. A lot of times, like there's some people who are straight up cray and like, I'm gonna die for these people, I'm gonna like poison people.
did you see, girl? Do you remember? Look, Nat, I sent you, girl, what I sent you? Hold on, let me see. Let me pull it up real quick. I sent you a screenshot, I believe.
Okay.
Or no, maybe it was a link to a tweet. Yes. and it was a BTS stan
Oh, I've seen that one.
who said it was when the Yoongi thing came out, and people were saying that you are like blind or whatever, and or did I? You know what? Maybe I sent it to the group chat.
Yeah, because I
Because
think I
after you
saw
said
it.
you saw it, okay, then
Yeah.
I think I sent it to the group chat, and it was like, oh yes, everybody, this BTS stan said, they said, you guys are just blindly defending, Union, and that's not a good thing. And this person posted, I will blindly defend him, I will blindly trust him, and I will blindly give him my life. And I'm just like,
Yeah, I did see that. I did. And I was like, so what you're saying is that this is a cult now. This is not even just like you liking something a lot. This is an actual cult where you worship a human being, flesh and bones, who can make mistakes, who can fuck up, who can do terrible things. Like you're saying that you stand this person and you will blindly defend them. That's a
girl,
problem.
it reminds me of, and I'm not, obviously BTS are not serial killers, but it does remind me of the serial killer fandoms on Tumblr, and like the Ted Bundy stands. Like, girl, what?
Yeah.
Like, you don't care what this person does because you're attracted to them. You understand. That is like, that is not healthy. That is, I really think
Okay.
people. I'm not promoting that. Natalie?
No, and the thing is, it's like, okay, it's okay to think that someone, hi, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Oh, you're lagging. Nat got that.
Okay. Oh,
Nat, I was about to say something, but
I
then
got
I
that
remembered I
Canadian
can't say
internet.
it. Now I'm gonna need you to
Whatever.
leave the
Yeah,
chat
no,
and
I
come
was like,
back in, cause you lagging so bad.
really? Is it that? Oh,
It's
okay.
that bad. Oh, she okay. Well, she's just gonna leave.
She'll be back.
Yeah. Well, we're about to wrap up anyway, but I just have one more thing, but I'll let her say what she was gonna say. Nat, hurry up! Everybody's waiting. Like, how was your day? Everybody who's listening, how was your day? Comment in the chat. We
How
like
are
to
you
hear.
holding up during these times?
Nat, Ash, do you have the chat up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Hopefully somebody responds so we don't seem like we're talking to ourselves. I guess that's kind of what we do anyway, though. Well, this is a good point to say. Don't forget to rate our podcast if you like what you hear. Hi, Nat. Are you back?
I don't know. Am I back?
Yes, I was gonna. I was just telling Ash and the listeners that we were gonna wrap up here soon.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
did you
no,
have
that's fine. I
anything?
think I can't remember what I was gonna say, to be honest, but I do want to sort of touch on uh maybe more so on like what's going on just in general and like what we hope that people can be doing and sort of resources that are available. Like it is a lot to sort of take in right now.
Well,
And
I'm thinking
it's
then if I should say this before you do that, then
you say, yeah, you say
this
it.
is
You say it.
related to our last topic. It was related.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to kind of end the J Park conversation with this comment that I feel like sums up everything that I'm thinking, everything that we've talked about. And this comment was left on the page of the person who posted that tweet that we referenced earlier. Should I say the username or not?
Yeah.
Irresponsible.
No, because it's out there. I mean, if you Google that, I mean, I saw it all over the place anyway. So I feel like
Okay.
anybody who follows us probably saw it.
Well, because this person is not a celebrity, so I just didn't want to, be okay. Well,
Okay, then don't. Then don't.
okay, yeah. So, individual left a comment. Shout outs to this person, and you'll know who it is if you go to the Instagram page. And the comment says, "Make sure you post the video of Sun Jadu attacking, shooting, attacking, then shooting a 15-year-old in the back of her head too. Or the video of employees at Red Apple Nail Salon in Brooklyn throwing acetone on black customers and beating them with broomsticks. The video of John Sangsa punching April Harding in the mouth in front of her 3-year-old son because the kid accidentally picked up a keychain which she threw back into the store after realizing he had it. Or Song Ho Lim um, besting a black woman and putting her in a chokehold after accusing her of stealing a pair of eyelashes from his store, even though she urged him to check her bag. Shall I continue? Because you use one video as if anti-blackness hasn't been deeply rooted in your communities for decades and decades up until now. Because it's quite disgusting that you want to use a moment where black people are fighting for justice to try to deflect onto your own struggles. You have plenty of time to speak on these things yet you wait until now. By the way, the Asian community is just as capable of getting out on the streets to protest injustices you face the same as black people do. Don't ask why no one pays as much attention to your issues as other people's when your own community doesn't care enough to mobilize yourselves to draw attention to the issues you feel you face. Oh, and by the way, Sunja Do only received community service for killing that black girl. And the nail salon owners, all their charges were dropped, even though they were originally booked for assault, and everything was caught on video. Changsuk, who beat the woman in front of her 3-year-old and made her have to get 3 stitches, charged but faced no jail time. Sung Ho Yin, um, who kicked, beat, and put a woman in a chokehold, not even charged. If a black person attacks an Asian, you better believe they'll face jail time and serve punishment. Yet Asian men and women can regularly beat black women, even on camera, and get away with it easily. Yet they would never in a million years be brave enough to do that to a black man. And that was the comments that the person left. And I felt every part of that.
Yeah, no,
I
that is
agree with
absolutely
everything.
true. Absolutely true. And the thing is, I actually hadn't made the connection that they've never seen them that aggressive towards black men. It's always black women and children.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's insidious. That's something that you plan to do. Like, it's not something that just happens. It's something that you intentionally go for because you're afraid of black men, but you're not afraid to hurt black women and children. And I mean, that's the lowest of the low. Like at least if you're gonna square up on somebody your own size, you know.
Mhm.
um
And the thing is too is like I completely forgot to talk about and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but to talk about starting your own movements instead of hijacking every black one. This person hit it right on the nose. Like you, where is your protest? Where is your Korean Lives Matter? Where is your why aren't you hitting the streets? You don't really care. Like you don't really care about your community, because if you did, you would be hitting them streets the same way black people do it when things like this happen to us.
yeah,
But
but the thing is that that's why I think a lot of black people are very hesitant about the POC term, because then if we are all POCs, and shouldn't you be out in the streets with us? Shouldn't you be fighting for our rights so we can do the work together? Because I mean, a lot of this stems in a lot of ways from white supremacy, right?
mm-hmm.
And if so, it doesn't really, like, it never made sense to me, even like when I was younger and I was still sort of like figuring it out. um when I saw that, like, white people did all these things, but all of these people of color, brown people, Asians, things like that, like, we were always fighting each other. And it was just like, it's kind of like when the rich fight each other over like whatever the resources are, while the rich is like getting fat and just waste
Or the
spending
poor,
money.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
And you know what?
yeah,
It's not even just like you're saying, like the term with the term POC. It's like it's not even just like being out there with each other. It's also like the difference in the experience and the fact
exactly.
of the matter that black people have been um historically oppressed over hundreds of years and continue to face that, whereas the Asian model minority really helps shield a lot of Asian people from the same things. Like this person was saying, you better believe that if it had been a black person doing all these things, if you really think if a black store owner shot an Asian girl, like a 15-year-old Asian girl, they wouldn't face more time than just community service?
Oh,
You know
absolutely.
what I
And
mean?
that woman that had done it too, she just disappeared afterwards. So she just went
Yeah,
on and lived her life like it wasn't a big deal that she murdered a 15-year-old, and
yeah.
it's, and from what I've seen, like, I mean, I don't know what she did with her life afterward, but it didn't seem like she had any remorse for it either, which is like even crazier to think of. Like, especially think we assume a lot of times that older people are wiser, but they're not. You know, like some of them go to like their 70s not learning a goddamn thing. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just sort of terrifying. And I mean, to speak on that, I will say that I have seen a lot of people who are not Black who have put themselves on the line and who have been there 100%. Girl, I got people being like, do you need money? I will give you money. And I'm just like, I'm fine. Like, you know?
Yeah, no,
And like,
and
there are a lot of people who have been really good support system and who have honestly just been trying to do the best that they can, you know? And I think that we're not here to shut you out when we talk about, you know, anti-Blackness on a global scale. We're not. We just want everybody to sort of do their part to help everybody, you know,
by the way,
bring about equality.
anti-Blackness exists in South Korea. Don't let
Oh,
anybody try to
absolutely.
teach you differently, because South
Absolutely.
Koreans in a heartbeat will be like, there's no. I saw something that was like, you know, the difference is we don't have structural anti-Blackness, and I'm like, well, I don't know what it's called then when a white teacher, English teacher, can get paid more than a Black English teacher just because the English teacher is white in South Korea. I don't know what it's called then when your entire beauty system. You first and foremost, you do have to put your picture on your resume in South Korea.
Yes. Yes.
So your entire system of hiring and firing people can solely be based off the color of their skin, and a lot of times they see a Black resume, they're throwing it out. So that is ingrained in a structure. It may not be as pervasive and as extensive as in the United States, obviously for obvious reasons, but there is anti-Blackness built into some of the systems, especially in the job market. So
yeah, and then even to piggyback off that, we have the new spread of Chinese imperialism in Africa and in the West Indies and throughout, where they basically have replaced white people and sort of committed, they continue to commit atrocities towards Black people throughout the globe.
yeah.
And because they have money pretty much, and they're able to go into these places and sort of just take over and like create Chinese only areas, like where people who live there, who are born there, who've been there for generations, can't even go into because it's Chinese only. And so when we talk about anti-Blackness on a global level, we talk about structures that are definitely set into place. We talk about how it's being influenced and a lot of the ideology comes from white supremacy, but we also talk about how they just like this is just
They just
that they're who exist, who are just shitty people and who just want to take advantage of, you know, these people who don't really have a lot because imperialism and because the transatlantic slave trade sort of stole all their resources to begin with.
And it circles all the way back around to the very beginning of this conversation with the fancy Asians versus the quote unquote jungle Asians, where the anti-Blackness is baked into the system. And it's not just the influence of white supremacy. It is also the culture that says that for some reason still abides by feudalistic ideas and caste systems of, if you're lighter, that means you're richer, which means you're better. You know, that is a cultural sentiment. That is not something that just white people thrust onto Asian communities, even though yes, they have. It's also something that is deeply
built
cultural.
in. Yeah.
And that just because it's cultural doesn't mean it's a good thing. It was at one point a tradition and a culture for white people to own Black people in America. That doesn't mean it was a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please stop with that. Like, please stop trying to justify anti-Blackness just because it's something they traditionally do. And it's not, you know, like, look at South America. South America's torn apart because of colorism.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I just had to say that because I just feel like people try to justify things because it's a part of culture, and I'm like, maybe rethink that part of your culture. If something is based on putting other people down for something they can't control, maybe rethink that. Also, did y'all just hear the government try to hack into this stream just now?
I did.
I was scared.
So I just want to lastly then bring up it's time to go. The FBI is here, y'all. So yeah, I just want to like touch on something. And actually what I was going to touch on, I kind of see people discussing in the comments as well too. Just take care of yourself. there's only so much that you can do as a person. And I mean, I also feel like I could do more in a lot of ways. And I kind of feel like I'm not doing enough. And I feel like that pressure is just unjustified because, you know, we can only do the best that we can do, you know, and we can only feel what we feel at any given time and on any given day. And so I feel like if all you can do is get up and you know, maybe donate $30 to something, or maybe just, you know, sign a whole bunch of petitions, just do that. Like, I feel like a lot of times people see people on the street getting beat up and whatever, and they see what's kind of going on in the media, and it kind of feels like we should all kind of be out there. And I mean, protesting is not something that everybody can do. Some people have anxiety, they can't do it. Some people are disabled, they can't do it. And I feel like there's so much things that can be done, like just on a social media aspect, that we couldn't even do 20 years ago, you know, or they couldn't do during the LA riots. You know, we can mobilize, we can get supplies to where it needs to be. We can signal booths so people know not to go on bridges because the police are trapping people on bridges. You know, like there's so many things that we can do. Like there was for an example, there was that gentleman, I can't remember his name, but his house had been like, due to, I guess, I don't know if it was the looters' fire or what happened, but his house had been destroyed. They opened a GoFundMe to help him rebuild his house. So there's a lot of things that we can do on the ground. That's not on the ground. That's more, you know, in whatever bubble sort of feels safest for us. Because you shouldn't burn yourself out. Like that doesn't help anybody really in the end. Like you getting stressed out and you know, not eating, not sleeping, all this stuff, like it's not gonna help everybody in the long run. The best thing for everybody is that you're healthy, that, you know, you're employed. If, you know, I know Corona's still out here taking people's jobs, unfortunately, but if you're employed and you're able to, you know, offer assistance when it's needed, or and it's better if you're able to, if you have the energy to do things like, you know, write articles. A lot of K-pop journalists, because we do know it tends to be a white-based system, have been really open to help Black art, K-pop art journalists or burgeoning journalists write and how to learn how to pitch and do all these things. A lot of these companies talking about, oh, you know, we're open for diversity, we want to do this, or they're trying to hold themselves accountable for their lack of diversity. And so there's a lot of spaces that are opening up. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to be open, I'll be honest with you, but I feel like they should. There's this small window of opportunity where, you know, a lot of people can sort of fit themselves in places that were, you know, quote unquote, unavailable even a month ago. So I feel like, don't beat yourself up if you're not on the street protesting like they're forcing on some of these little kids. You know, don't beat yourself up if all you can do, you know, with everything that is happening in the world, and there's a lot. I mean, we're only in June, people, and there's so much that's going on. And don't beat yourself up if all you can do is get up and sign a petition. Like that's all you can do that day. That's fine. There are other days. We need everybody to be here for as long as they can, and we want everybody to be here, you know, as happy and healthy as they can. Not the racists; they can all die, but everybody else, you know, we want you to be here, and we want you to help in any way that you can, if that's what you truly do want to do. And
Nat,
so,
why did you say that so casually?
About what?
Anyway, yes, I agree with everything Nat is saying. This has been a very insightful discussion. We really appreciate you guys coming through, camping out, listening to us talk for 2 hours. We're so sorry. This was only supposed to be an hour. I'm being real with you guys. It was only supposed to be an hour. But, you know, sometimes Nat gets carried away.
Oh, I get carried away. All right.
No, sometimes we, you know, honestly, like when you guys hear our podcast, that's the finished product after, you know, we've talked for 5 hours. So, all right.
This is the earliest we are ending, people. So
yes, it is the earliest we're ending. But again, we really appreciate you guys coming out. You know, please like and subscribe to our channel, like this live, like you know, check out our channel, you might see something you like. We know
feel free to communicate with us.
Yes, like if you want to leave us comments, if you want to hit us up on Twitter. We love talking to you guys.
Send us an email.
Yes, we are one big family. If you have any ideas of anything you want to talk about, because we kind of want to start doing, getting into more fun episodes. So if there's anything you guys want us to talk about or just have fun doing, maybe we could finally do that versus idea or something like that. Anything fun you want us to do, just hit us up. Let us know. You can listen in the chat box, the comments. The comments will probably be better because then we can go back and reference that a little easier. But yeah, we look forward to we record again next week, I believe. So we look forward to having something fun ready to go for you guys. And make sure you follow us on Twitter. And if you, I mean, I'm assuming you already do because that's where we posted this link. So follow us on Twitter at Nyan Edisons, NYANETIZENS. You can check out our website, Nyan Edisons. I'm not going to say that whole long link, but we can post
It's on our
it.
Twitter.
It's on our
Yeah.
Twitter in the bio.
Yeah.
If you feel like you'll just let all your friends know about us. Let all of your family members know about us. People who like K-pop. You can recommend our podcast if you like what we talk about here. And again, lastly, yeah, we just appreciate you guys. And yeah, I mean, this will be on YouTube forever. So technically, we're talking to more than just the people who are in the chat. We're talking to the people who are listening to this in the future. So yes. All
Hopefully
right.
it's better there. Oh my gosh.
Huh?
I said hopefully it's better there.
In the future, yes.
Yeah.
Any shout outs?
I just want to shout out all of our listeners and all of the people who are out on the streets or at home signing petitions. I want to shout everybody out. Keep doing what you can as best as you can, and hopefully we will make. I mean, there's a lot of things that have developed that have been positive, but I kind of want to keep the momentum going, and I kind of want this to be something that has lasting effects,
Yes.
So I feel like shout outs to everybody, like sleep, eat that slice of pizza, take the time to do something that you like, because you can't kind of wallow in all of this. It's just too much, I think, for one person to sort of deal with. So if you want to listen to some A-Pink, if you want to go ahead and do that. I endorse it.
If you want to listen to our old episodes that are actually not about COVID-19 and racism, go
We have
ahead.
a full backlog.
Listen, we did a 3-hour episode on a mini album once, so I feel like you will have a good time, guys.
There's a lot of content out there if you're from us, if you are just bored during this quarantine. But yeah, we are going to go ahead and end the live. You've been with us for long enough. So with that said, bye guys.
Good night. Have a good night.
You can't see me, but I'm waving.
Me too. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye.